She is very difficult to officiate because of all of the contact that's happening around her all of the time. That being said, I was in contact with a number of WNBA coaches yesterday about this topic of the officiating in the WNBA.
Coaches spoke yesterday about the growing concerns around WNBA officiating, and what Rebecca Lobo just said about Caitlin Clark and the refs is absolutely eye-opening. The WNBA brass can't afford to ignore it any longer. We've just seen the most powerful demonstration of the Caitlin Clark effect, but in the aftermath of yet another poorly officiated game between the Fever and the Sun, that same officiating now threatens to crush the league's momentum entirely. Rebecca Lobo, a WNBA legend, has officially sounded the alarm. And this wasn't just a logical breakdown, it was a reveal of what people across the league are really saying behind closed doors. The league isn't going to like it, but the truth needed to be said. Because if we've learned anything this season, it's that the WNBA still hasn't figured out how to properly handle its golden goose, Caitlin Clark. Let's break down exactly what Rebecca said, and also look at the latest developing story with the Indiana Fever. It's good news in many ways, but it also makes the WNBA's continued inaction feel even more baffling. But first, like this video. Every like is basically a spare whistle for the refs, since the ones they're carrying clearly aren't being used. And don't forget to subscribe for more updates on Caitlin Clark and the Fever. Now, let's rewind for a second, because clearly, the WNBA needs a reminder.
The nerve, the second-year players clearing out that side of the floor, shooting on Stewie, and then watch the reaction with one another. Stewie's laughing.
As I write this, Caitlin Clark's triumphant return was just a few games ago, and she wasted no time making a statement. She dropped 25 points in the first half, including 3 logo bombs in just 38 seconds. It was a stretch so electric, it didn't just remind fans what they were missing. It reminded the entire league exactly who's driving the bus.
And Cunningham is down behind the play, but they've got Caitlin Clark. 2 players with incredible Clark, another long 3.
This was the statement of statements, the game that made everything crystal clear. The WNBA doesn't just benefit from Caitlin Clark, it relies on her. Those 5 games she missed weren't just a stumble. They were an exposure. Viewership dropped. Social engagement tanked. National interest flatlined. And suddenly, every WNBA storyline that didn't include Caitlin felt like background noise.
But here we go with Caitlin Clark, singularly, being missing for the time she was gone, and ratings tanking, 50% in some cases. And then also she comes back and reminds everyone how spectacular she is, and everybody's talking about the WNBA. So if you needed to sort of have it affirmed to you that it is just her, that the singularity of her is what we are talking about, and her star power, you got it with this absence and then the way she came back.
After weeks of crashing ratings and mounting pressure, Caitlin Clark's return didn't just lift the Fever, it lifted the entire WNBA. Their game against the Liberty peaked at 2.8 million viewers, making it one of the most watched WNBA broadcasts of all time. For context, the NHL's Stanley Cup Finals averaged 2.5 million viewers. And while comparing hockey to basketball isn't a perfect apples-to-apples match, Caitlin Clark just outdrew a century-old men's league during its championship round. That's not normal. What's even more surprising is how the significance of this moment seems to have gone unnoticed, or worse, ignored by WNBA leadership. But it hasn't been lost on Rebecca Lobo. An Olympic gold medalist, a Hall of Famer, and arguably the most level-headed voice at ESPN, Lobo saw exactly what this moment meant. Before we even get to her comments about the referees, just listen to how she described the seismic impact of Clark's return.
Rebecca, tell me, what does Clark's return mean for the WNBA?
Well, I mean, it means a lot more people are paying attention once again. We know how much Caitlin drives ratings. We know how much Caitlin drives attention on the WNBA. And for her to come back and do it in that way was just...
The refs are literally laughing at players when they bring up concerns about rough play. Not just brushing them off, laughing, while players are out there saying, "I'm going to get hurt if this keeps up." And now back to Rebecca Lobo, and how all of this ties directly to Caitlin Clark. Because here's the bottom line. If Caitlyn goes down, it's game over. Everyone knows it. The fans know it. The players know it. The networks and the league, whether they'll admit it or not, they know it too. And Rebecca, to her credit, didn't sugarcoat it. She said what needed to be said in the most diplomatic way possible. But if you actually listen closely to her words, it's even more concerning than it first appears. Because what she's really saying is this: the league is playing with fire and they're running out of time.
Second stretch, where she drained deep three after deep three after deep three. I was just sitting there thinking, I've been around this league since 1997. I have never seen that in a WNBA game. Have we seen players go on runs? Of course we have, but not like that. Not where a couple of the three-pointers are from 30 plus feet. It was an exhibition by her.
She's not asking players to go easy. She's just saying what any smart veteran would say. This is a business. Caitlyn is good for everyone's paycheck. Protecting her isn't about favoritism, it's about protecting the investment. Because whether some players like it or not, Caitlyn Clark is the one driving the surge. And if she goes down again, the ripple effects will hit everyone, from ticket sales to TV deals to league credibility. It's not personal, it's reality.
As we expected, Sophie Cunningham has reached 1 million followers. 1 million followers. Sophie Cunningham on TikTok has gained, if I'm not mistaken, I think she has gained nearly 900,000 followers. It's at least 700,000. Sophie Cunningham on TikTok now has 1 million followers.
And so I think that the WNBA as a whole is in an amazing place. Now it's about business to me.
Kathy's not wrong. Caitlyn Clark isn't just part of the WNBA's future. She is the future. And if the league can't figure out how to protect its most valuable asset from reckless fouls, inconsistent officiating, and petty jealousy, then they don't deserve what she brings. Because here's what happens when you support Caitlyn Clark. Viewership rises, jerseys sell out, new fans flood in, and the entire ecosystem benefits. Players, teams, sponsors, media. So yes, Rebecca Lobo said what needed to be said. But the real question now is anyone listening? Because the next time Caitlyn gets knocked down, it might not just cost her a game. It might cost the WNBA everything.